Minnesota Vikings indeed have the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League in Justin friggin' Jefferson as well as Adam Jerome Ezekiel Thielen. But the Vikings could and should add some wide receiver depth this season in free agency to supplement B.C. Johnson, K.J. Osborne, and Chad Beebe in his back, in addition to draft. So here are three value free agent wide receivers for the Vikings, not named John Ross, because we talked about him to death. But hopefully they're not going to be Tajay Sharps, but also, probably not going to get in the Allen Robinson or Kenny Golladay derby. So let's go value shopping today. Number one, Demarcus Robinson of the Chiefs. Now, I've always liked Robinson, 26 years young, 6'1", 203, was a 2016 fourth-round pick out of Florida. Fittingly, he is the nephew of Marcus Robinson, a name you'll remember, who was a Vikings free agent signee from the Bears back in the day. Robinson has always been that fourth, fifth option or so in the Chiefs' amazing offensive attack, because Tyreek and Kelsey are 1A. Sammy Watkins has been that number 3, and then Chris Conley had been that number 4 guy before leaving for Jacksonville, and then Mecole Hardman came in as a second-round pick in 2019. So there's only so many balls to go around, even if Patrick Mahomes is the one dishing them out. So DeMarcus has never really had that real chance to step up and be the guy. He did re-sign with the Chiefs last offseason on a cheap one-year deal, and then put up a career-high 45 catches, 466 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns. And I think that he will be looking for a chance to step out of the shadow of the Chiefs, be his own guy. I think he will be relatively affordable in free agency, giving him a chance to be a true wide receiver 3. Next up, number 2 value free agent for wide receiver for the Vikings, Rashard Hollywood Higgins of the Browns. I have always loved Hollywood, man. He's been great. 26 years old, 6'1", $198, 2016 fifth-round pick out of Colorado State University, former teammate B.C. Johnson back in the day. And he's really had an up and down career with the Browns. Like, he's been cut, he's been on the practice squad, he's been re-signed, but he just keeps circling back to Cleveland. He did re-sign a one-year $910,000 deal last offseason, and then put up 37 catches, 599 yards, and 4 touchdowns on 52 targets this year when OBJ went down with an ACL. Potentially could get $5-6 million per year in free agency. So would you do that? Like, would you give him a 2-year $10 or $11 million deal? I think it would be a deal, and the Vikings can obviously clear up the cap with Rudolph, with Reif, with Steffen, etc. And wide receiver 2, I think that might be a stretch for Higgins, but a wide receiver 3 with Jefferson and Thielen would be damn legit. Plus, logically, Stefanski and Clint Kubiak will run similar concepts, and Higgins had a mini breakout season this year with Stefanski, would be a relatively easy transition to wherever the Vikings are going to be in 2021. He's adept at getting open, solid hands, only had 3 drops this season, and would be a really nice complementary piece for a relatively bargain deal. Lastly, value wide receiver number 3 for the Minnesota Vikings, Dede Westbrook from the Jaguars. Come on, son. 27 years young, 6 foot, $178, a former 2017 fourth-round pick out of Oklahoma by the Jaguars, and he was a stud at OU. Absolutely. 2016 Biletnikoff Award winner, best wide receiver in college football, unanimous All-American, finished 4th in the Heisman that year. Stud, right? And he does have experience with Keenan McCardle, who, of course, was a wide receivers coach at Duval for a number of years. That blazing 4.34 speed, but he just never really found his place in Jacksonville. I always felt like he was just on the outside, just never really cracked it. Had a career 160 catches, 1,720 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, by comparison, will have that in the first 8 games of 2021. Believe that. But Westbrook has that potential, plus adds big value in the return game. Has a career 9.8 yards per punt return. Did tear his ACL in October last season, but has that untapped potential and really is a home run threat every single time that he touches the ball. And I think that he would add a really fun dynamic as a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 in this Vikings offense, and will be cheap coming off that injury. Plus perhaps the McCardle connection would give the Vikings an inside track. So that is it. That's 3 value free agent wide receivers that the Minnesota Vikings should kick the tires on. Not named John Ross. But what are your thoughts and our thoughts? Let us know in the old comments section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work? Pull something in Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.